Organizations and their influence within the marathon universe are a key element to the story that the new marathon game seeks to tell. The ARG and trailer from 2023 introduced us to the megacorps Traxus and Sekiguchi, and it reintroduced us to Mida and the UESC. But these aren't all of the factions we'll have to worry about while we try to survive in Taetti. The latest drop of information from April of 2025, along with the public alpha, sheds some light on two additional groups that are interested in the lost colony, Nucaloric and Arachne. Arachne is much more mysterious currently since we haven't gotten any insight into what their goals are, nor have the other factions really referenced them. But Nucaloric was a huge component of the alpha, and we do have quite a bit of information on them. So today I want to figure out what exactly Nucaloric's goals are and speculate as to where their story may lead. Nucaloric is a company seemingly focused on the preservation of human life. Unlike the other organizations we have talked about on the channel, we don't have a website or public-facing mission statement for Nucaloric. What we do have is advertisements for Nucaloric products in different divisions of their operation. We also have contextual clues as to their significance in the Marathon universe from their presence inside the maps that we played in the alpha and from the dialogue we received from the company's AI agent, Gaius. Perhaps a concise mission statement for Nucaloric is what Gaius states to us during their priority contracts that we complete for them. Quote, Nucaloric exists to feed, clothe, and supply humanity with its most basic needs. This does seem to make Nucaloric stand out when put alongside the other factions we have seen, as if this is genuinely their goal, then they appear to be quite altruistic. Traxus seeks economic control, possibly on behalf of a rampant AI with delusions of grandeur. Sekiguchi is attempting to alter the very nature of human experience by integrating consciousness within synthetic frames. Mida is labeled as a terrorist organization and at the very least is willing to commit violence to achieve these goals, and the UESC is the imposing government force seeking ultimate control even in completely alien corners of the universe. When stacked against these factions, Nucaloric really does seem to be the good guys. As I was saying, a lack of clear timeline or materials from Nucaloric leaves us a bit in the dark as to the specifics of their history, but we do know they, much like Sekiguchi or Traxus, have been in operation for a very long time. Upon completion of the Nucaloric priority contract for a better tomorrow, Gaius tells us that the famine of the 2160s was a watershed moment for humanity and Nucaloric. Stark reality set in, we avoided extinction by conquering the inefficiencies that caused mass starvation. This confirms that Nucaloric has been around since at least the 22nd century and seems to have maintained the same goals generally. We also learned directly from Gaius that Nucaloric was a primary contributor to the original Marathon mission and supplied the trip with technology specifically designed to sustain life on an alien planet. A clear breakdown of the divisions within Nucaloric are offered via some of the new images that we received from the Traxus website. Under the title Electric Rope on the Traxus site, we get a card representing the Infrastructure Division. Mobile Support Unit gives us the Agriculture Division. Construction and Earth Moving gives us the Medical Division, and Hybrid Bulldozer shows us a card for the Research Division. This all aligns with the goals presented by Nucaloric. They appear to want to be the protectors of humanity, an organization that seeks to resolve humanity's necessities through technological advancement. These divisions are each accountable for one facet of what is required to sustain human life: food, shelter, medicine, and research efforts dedicated at advancing these goals. The other advertisement imagery found on the Traxus website all seek to promote some sort of alternative food options. Although they are comedic, like tastes like meat isn't, or just corn, no cob, these do appear as legitimate sources of nutrition that seek to ensure caloric energy for humanity despite being entirely detached from the human component that makes food special culturally. A sweet gesture from corporate overlords or advanced AI trying to figure out what should go into a mouth since they don't have the experience of eating. This desire to sustain humanity extends well into the actual game itself, as Nucaloric, via their AI agent Gaius, tasks us to primarily discover what happened to the people that were on Taetti 4 to hopefully understand how to prevent it from occurring again. Gaius concludes their introduction to us by stating, quote, "The colony's economic loss is mundane. The setback to human survival is profound," further instilling the core function of this faction as caring for the survival of humanity. But before we look at what Nucaloric is doing in the colony, let's look at Gaius. Gaius is interesting because even the manner in which they communicate is distinctly more human. Vulcan, the Traxus AI agent, and Oni, the Cyber Acme AI, are both distinctly computer, except for the glimpses of rampancy we see from Oni while on runs. Their mannerisms are dictated by corporate interests or efficiency, whereas Gaius states what appear to be feelings at times. Gratitude for our work, and even an existential crisis further demonstrates that Gaius's tone is far more human than anything else we encounter in the alpha. Perhaps Gaius was programmed with a sense of humanity so that its goals aligned with the core tenets of the company. Or perhaps Gaius is suffering in the same way that all life on Tau Ceti is, an evolution that is not yet entirely understood, related to the contagion and the anomaly. The name Gaius itself may also give some insight into how Nucaloric may contribute to the narrative. Gaius is a first name originating from the Latin phrase, and I'm definitely saying this wrong, gaudiere, which translates to rejoice. The name Gaius also appears throughout the Bible, referring to multiple separate people who assist the Apostle Paul during the founding of the Christian church throughout the Roman Empire. Gaius was even the first name of the Roman dictator Julius Caesar, who was famously betrayed and assassinated. Et tu, Brute? Hey, Bungie even has some history with that one. Now, I am not a biblical scholar or a Roman historian, nor do I know Latin, so take this interpretation with a grain of salt. But the name Gaius seems to be tied to hospitality, loyalty, and a purpose greater than oneself. Perhaps this is meant to signal to players that Nucaloric, or at the very least Gaius, is genuinely trying to help people, to ensure that the human light stays lit in the darkness of the ever-growing universe. And perhaps this even hits at an ultimate betrayal that may result in the death of Gaius later on in the story. The distinct personality of Gaius feels quite different from what we've experienced from the other AI in the series. Gaius is helpful like Leela, but Leela lacked a human quality that Gaius seems to have. Perhaps this is meant to intentionally make us feel comfortable with Gaius, only to later reveal that Nucaloric is more sinister than we had previously thought, thus flipping the Caesar betrayal trope on its head. Or maybe I'm looking too far into this, and it means nothing other than a name. The Nucaloric priority contracts center on uncovering what caused the collapse of the colony, with the stated goal of preventing further harm to humanity in the future. We learned that the colony expanded too quickly despite warnings from the scientists in the colony. This problem was compounded by food insecurity that was the result of a novel contagion. We discovered that this contagion causes rapid mutations for life on Tau Ceti 4 and can even impact artificial life, as the colony's AI seem to have gone haywire from exposure on the surface of Tau Ceti 4. We then learned that the contagion is some form of intelligent life, and the colonists attempted to quarantine it and the infected areas and send a message back to Earth, but that their attempts were futile. Gaius succumbs to an existential crisis during our completion of these contracts and is forced to recalibrate its system. We ultimately conclude with learning that this contagion is tied to the anomaly, a structure of unknown origin that appears to disrupt time itself. And despite all of this, Gaius still thanks us for our contribution to the survival of humanity. This covers just about everything we know about Nucaloric. Nucaloric really seems to be the good guys. Their goal, their preservation of humanity, seems genuinely noble. Gaius even outlines the beneficial nature of the relationship between humanity and AI by pointing out that they are entities which don't really compete for natural resources. For all intents and purposes, Nucaloric seems like a shining light in the cruel world of Marathon. They want to ensure human survival, solve famines, shelter the masses, and innovate on medical science. How could they not be the good guys, right? But something is fishy. There could be more to them. Maybe they are being controlled by another group or faction, and their demeanor is meant to make people trust them. Or maybe their kind-hearted nature will leave them vulnerable to betrayal. Or maybe, despite all the odds, in a universe seemingly run by corporate interests, greed, and power, Nucaloric has managed to carve out a space for a faction that genuinely wants to do good. Let me know what I missed, your thoughts on Nucaloric, and why I shouldn't get a Gaius tattoo in the comments below. Thanks. Bye.